lifestyle designers, this is Zach here with secretsoflongevity.com. I was planning on making this recipe. I even had these ice cubes made. I started them last night. I just put raw grass-fed milk into an ice cube tray. And this morning when I got up, I saw that Frankie G had posted a blueberry ice cream recipe, a blueberry gelato. So I'm doing this as a video response to him. I was inspired by some of the things he put in his and the way he did it. I'm doing it a bit differently. I've got some different ingredients. But yeah, definitely check out his video too because it looks like a delicious recipe. Anyway, so I've got 14 ice cubes made from raw milk. I'm going to pop those all out and get them to fall into the blender here, if I can even do that. They're stuck in there a little bit. I'll just have to use a knife to pop them out. It's warm here, so the frozen items are going to thaw pretty quickly, so I'm going to get through this recipe as quickly as I can. Next, we're going to add some frozen blackberries. We don't have these wild around here. I'm sure if I looked and foraged really hard I could find some, but these are just frozen from a package. Throw in a small handful of those. We're going to throw in some frozen wild blueberries. We can't get these around here, but I do have a cottage up north where I can get these on the island, so hopefully I'll be getting some of those. Maybe in the next couple of weeks at some point. It's actually called Blueberry Island. Again, just a medium handful of those as well. And what we can get around here, which I did forage a few days ago and just froze in the freezer for this purpose, was some purple mulberries. So mulberry trees, you can find them usually in parks and stuff when you see sort of that purple splotches on pavement. That's the way I find them. Or if you're just walking along, you can usually see the really bright, deep purplish red berries. They're more red when they're not fully ripe, but they're really nice color. As you can see, it's going to go with our theme of the color of blueberries and blackberries. They look like blackberries, but they're a little sweeter, I find. So we're just going to dump that whole thing in there. So that's their 3-berry ice cream. We're going to put in 1 raw egg. That'll be more of the liquid that allows this whole thing to mash up. Then we're going to get into some of the other ingredients. We're going to put in a tablespoon of Manuka honey. I've just got the end of a little container here. This is great honey, one of the more expensive honeys. Has very strong antimicrobial properties, great for sore throats, just to have medicinally around the house. It's got a really wonderful sort of butterscotch type flavor, which I think will go well in this. Just trying to scrape out the last of it. So it's probably a little more than a tablespoon, closer to 2. And that's a good amount of sweetness. But we're also going to cut it with a bit of stevia, which will bump up the sweetness because without overdoing the sugars too much. The berries have some sweetness, but they're a little bit tart to some degree. And I'll put that as the last bit. Shaking a little bit of stevia. You can always add more afterwards. And I always put cow powder in virtually all of my blended drinks or ice creams. Adds a bit of iodine, a bit of sodium, acts kind of like a sea salt. Then we're going to throw in some vanilla bean powder. A small amount of this goes a long way. I'm going to add about a teaspoon. It has a wonderful smell every time I open this jar. I love it. And then we're going to put some adaptogenic herbs in here. We've got Matuna Puriens. You get this at Hyperion Herbs. Find a link below. For any of these ingredients, you can find links below. I'm going to put in a full tablespoon of that. A little bit more. Then I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of Foshu Wu extract from Hyperion Herbs as well. And I'm just going to dump that what's left in the bag in there. So both of these are great herbs that you can take as much as you want of on a daily basis, basically. I've got links below for articles I've written on those 2 herbs if you want to learn more about them. And you can also find the Hyperion herb link if you want to purchase some of the extract yourself. Because it's an extract, you don't need to make it into a tea first. So it's being the whole herbs that have been brewed into a tea or alcohol extract, and then they condense that down and dry it into a powder, so it's ready to use and easy to add to smoothies and ice creams and food just like that. We're also going to add about a tablespoon of colostrum powder, and again that's the end of that one too. Colostrum has a number of potent immune boosting, immune modulating, and growth factor stimulating qualities to it. It's also probiotic. I've got an article below where you can read about that. You can also find a link below to Survival where you can purchase that if you're interested in sampling it. Last, not quite last, but second last, we're going to add a little bit of bee pollen. And that's going to, because it's kind of chunky, and this isn't totally liquid, that's going to end up strewn throughout the ice cream, almost like chocolate chips would be in a chocolate chip ice cream, but it'll be like a bee pollen chunks throughout the ice cream. And actually, I'm going to melt a little bit of butter, raw grass-fed butter on the stove, being very careful not to heat it up too much, maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons. We're going to add that in just a second. So we've got the melted butter, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons worth, and we're going to just drizzle that over top of everything. You could put it in a whole, but because it's going to be so cold, it's going to not blend through very completely. So it might be a bit, might get chunks of butter, which wouldn't be the most. Might be okay if that's what you were going for, but I'd prefer to have it mixed in. So I'm just adding that because I don't have raw cream. I mean, the milk is creamy, but we want to sort of up the fat content of this drink, and that's what I'm choosing to do. I'm also going to add a little bit of raw milk straight to it just to help get this started. You need a little tiny bit of liquid at the bottom. Don't add too much because it's easier to add more later as opposed to trying to add it, take it away rather after you've added it. So literally just like a tiny splash to sort of fill the bottom there. And you kind of need a Vitamix to do this. I've heard of people doing it at the Blend Tech. But if you haven't bought one of these high-powered blenders yet, definitely go for the Vitamix. They actually have a higher-powered model available now that is now going to be stronger than the Blend Tech. Not that you need a blender strong enough to run a lawnmower. That's just getting a bit excessive. 3.5 horsepower isn't plenty in my opinion, and that's what this Vitamix is. But you get one of these with this blender, and as you see, I've got duct tape on the end because I did once. It actually went through and chopped the end of my plunger off. And that was actually with this one because it's got a smaller lid. It's actually got like a little groove here that's supposed to stop it, but it actually slipped right through and got chopped up. But if you just use it on this one, you won't run into that problem. And you can actually grab a blender below if you wanted to pick one up. I've got a link there. So that is the perfect consistency. Let's see if I can show you. It's peaking. Let's see what that tastes like. It tastes like frozen yogurt. Not too sweet. Not as intense as ice cream can be. And yeah, you just have to serve it up and enjoy it with outside on a hot summer day. Or my girlfriend and I, Heidi, we're going to enjoy this with a movie. So with that, take care and embrace life without limits.